I've always been a light sleeper. Ever since I was a kid, the smallest sound would wake me up. My husband used to joke that I could hear a pin drop in the next county. So when I tell you about what happened in my backyard last August, you have to understand, I know the difference between normal nighttime sounds and something else. We live in a pretty quiet subdivision in Roswell, New Mexico. Yeah, I know what you're thinking, Roswell, of course. But honestly, we moved here because of my husband's job at the Air Force Base, not because of all the UFO stuff. In fact, I used to roll my eyes at all the alien tourism, the little green men on every street corner, the UFO museum, the whole circus. It seems silly. Our house backs up to about 3 acres of undeveloped land, just desert scrub and a few cottonwood trees. We've got a privacy fence, but it's only about 6 feet high, so you can see into the empty lot pretty easily from our back patio. It was a Tuesday night, I think, August 15th or 16th. I remember because it was right after my daughter's birthday, and we still had leftover cake in the fridge. I woke up around 3 a.m. to use the bathroom, and on my way back to bed, I glanced out our bedroom window that faces the backyard. There was a light out there, not a flashlight or a street light. We don't have street lights back there anyway. This was more like, you know how moonlight looks on fresh snow, silvery and soft but bright enough to see by? Except it wasn't moonlight. It was coming from something in the empty lot, maybe 30 feet from our back fence. I woke up Tom, but he just mumbled something about kids with flashlights and rolled over. So I went to the kitchen and looked out the window there, which gives a better view of the lot. The light was moving, not fast, but deliberately, like someone was walking around with a lantern. But there was no person. The light was just there, about 4 feet off the ground, drifting between the trees. I grabbed my robe and slippers and went out on the back patio. I know that sounds crazy, but I wasn't scared exactly. I was curious. The light was beautiful, almost hypnotic. It pulsed gently, like a heartbeat made of silver. As I got closer to the fence, I could see that the light was coming from something about the size of a basketball, but it wasn't solid. It was more like a cloud of luminous mist, but with distinct edges, and it was warm. I could feel the heat from it even through the fence. I watched it for maybe 10 minutes, and then I did something I still can't explain. I whispered, "Hello?" The light stopped moving. It just hung there in the air, about 15 feet away from me, and I swear I could feel it looking at me. Which sounds insane, because it didn't have eyes or any features at all, but there was definitely an intelligence behind it, a presence that was aware of me. Then it started moving toward me. I should have been terrified, but I wasn't. It was like being approached by a familiar pet, even though I'd never seen anything like it before. The light came right up to the fence, and I reached out my hand almost without thinking about it. When my fingers got close to the fence, the light extended something toward me, not a hand or a tentacle, but more like a tendril of that same misty luminescence. And when it touched my fingertip through the chain link, I can't really describe what happened next. It was like every nerve in my body lit up at once, but not painful. More like, have you ever felt a really strong déjà vu, that sense of familiarity mixed with impossibility? It was like that, but magnified 1,000 times. Images flashed through my mind, or maybe memories, I'm not sure. I saw stars that looked different from our stars, landscapes that were beautiful but alien, and faces that were almost human, but not quite. And I had this overwhelming sense of longing, like I was homesick for a place I'd never been. The whole experience probably lasted less than a minute, but it felt like hours. When it ended, the light pulled back and rose up into the air. I watched it drift higher and higher until it disappeared into the night sky. I stood there for a long time afterward, just staring up at the stars. They looked different somehow, more three-dimensional, like I was seeing them for the first time. And I had this strange knowledge that I couldn't quite put into words, like I'd been reminded of something important that I'd forgotten. The next morning, I told Tom about it, but he just laughed and said I must have been sleepwalking or having a vivid dream. But I know what I saw. I know what I felt. The weird thing is, ever since that night, I've been having dreams about flying. Not in an airplane or anything like that, but actually flying through space, past planets and stars I don't recognize. And in these dreams, I always have this sense that I'm going home. I've started keeping a journal of these dreams, and I've noticed patterns, star configurations that repeat, landscapes that feel familiar, even though I've never seen them before. My daughter thinks I'm going through some kind of midlife crisis, but I don't think that's it. I think something out there recognized me, and I think part of me recognized it too.